The Brandon Aiyuk saga continues to swirl, but as national insiders say he is more likely to be traded than sign an extension, the question has to be asked, what went wrong between Aiyuk and the 49ers? What is good, everybody? Welcome to Under Review on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Podcast Networks. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera, going to be joined by Vish Kumaran in 1 second as we dive into everything happening with Brandon Aiyuk. We're getting updates hourly, it seems like, as things change. Please rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcasts. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notified every single time we go live, which is every single weekday for you. Let's welcome in co-host of this program, Vish Kumaran. Vish.
I was here for the intro.
I know, I saw you there, but I wanted to be smooth. How are you, sir?
You are a smooth operator. Okay, that was weird. I'm doing good. How are you, Rob? It's been a while.
It's been a minute. I know. We've missed you. You're coming in at the perfect time because we got Brandon Aiyuk agreeing to a trade and then no trade, and then insiders getting salty about other people talking about a possible trade. And where do you come down on all the Brandon Aiyuk stuff we've had today?
Yeah, so I delivered my big Brandon Aiyuk take yesterday on my YouTube channel at Vish Kumaran, by the way. That's where you can find that on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe here as well at the Gold Standard Network while you're here. But my basic thing was I quoted the line from The Dark Knight, Rob. I said, Harvey Dent once said, the night's darkest right before the dawn. And I think the night's darkest right now in the Brandon Aiyuk situation, okay? I'm coming down on one thing with this Brandon Aiyuk situation. I think the 49ers know one thing about Brandon Aiyuk that's very different in this negotiation than the one with everyone else. They got him. They know Brandon Aiyuk wants to be a 49er, and they are holding that against him to the maximum. I'm being realistic right now. I think the worst case scenario of the Brandon Aiyuk situation to me is him playing out his fifth-year option and demanding that he gets traded for sure next year, and that even if they franchise tag him, he gets traded, or that they don't franchise tag him. Because can you really imagine them moving him for Kendrick Bourne and picks right now? Like, Jed York has to sell this team to fans. Like, that's another aspect of this. I think this entire trade stuff is they know Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to accept these trades. They know that Brandon Aiyuk is just a kid throwing a tantrum to them that, hey, I want to be traded. I don't want to be traded. I just want you guys to pay me what I'm worth. And they're using that against him. I truly feel bad for Brandon Aiyuk because I think that we've all been Brandon Aiyuk, whether it's to our parents, whether it's to a boss. We've been Brandon Aiyuk, where we feel like we've done everything we had to, and somehow we still are picking between two options we didn't like. I feel bad for him, but I think that's what this situation ultimately is. I think all of the miscommunication is because Brandon Aiyuk, in his heart of hearts, wants to be a 49er, and he just can't get past the fact that he has to be a 49er for $26 to $27 million.
Kaylee Miller, YouTube channel member. Appreciate all the YouTube channel members. Shout out to you. Says, I can't take it anymore. I've been on edge all day. Every notification I get, I'm like, this is it, and nothing. I don't want him to leave, but this is too much. Kaylee, you are all of us in 49er fandom. I completely agree with you. And I think you're right too, Vish. Look at Matt Mayoko on KMBR. Quote, I think Brandon is having a difficult time figuring out exactly what he wants. I think he requested the trade without really wanting it to go through. He just wanted to increase the pressure on the 49ers. And what do I always say about Matt Mayoko? He puts out there what the team wants out there. And he just, to me, said what you said, Vish. They know he really wants to stay in San Francisco. Hell, he's at the meetings. Leonard Hankerson just said today, oh, he's been great in the meetings. It's so great having him, this, that, and the other thing. It's just he wants more money than the 49ers are willing to pay. Mayoko also said in that interview that if the Niners had offered what the Browns are willing to pay, that he would have signed. Quote, I think Cleveland is out there with an offer for a new contract that if it were the Niners giving him the same offer, he would have signed last month. But the 49ers don't believe they're in a position to go that high. So that's telling me exactly what you just said, Vish. He wants to be a Niner. The Niners aren't going to budge. And now we're here.
Yup, and I think part of it with the early part of his contracts is a little political. I think early part of his contract, he's probably not going to feel like he's getting paid drastically more than Deebo or Kittle or these other guys. I don't think they're going to disrespect those guys with his contract. I think that's just how they tend to do business. And so I think the larger parts of his contract anyway would kick when they intend to have Deebo not on the team anymore, Kittle not on the team, etc. So that's how I think things will work for him structurally. And I think that's more preventative in terms of how much money they're willing to offer him and how high they're drawing that ceiling. But the other thing I think that's kind of in place that's really causing issues for him is, Rob, we were on top of this from day one. The mixed signals. He's so confused because at the end of the day, he didn't know how to play this contract negotiation. The difference between him and Deebo Samuel is that Deebo Samuel understands the business of football. He never takes it personally. Brandon Aiyuk took this negotiation personally.
And
Why can I tell you Deebo Samuel doesn't take negotiations personally? Because Deebo Samuel asked out, did this thing in the nightclub, whatever that meant about the 49ers. And the moment he signed his contract, there's never been a peep about Deebo Samuel being unhappy. All of that was washed away because Deebo understood it was business. The 49ers understood it was business. The other thing Deebo understood is he did not give a damn who he plays for. Deebo just wanted to be paid. Deebo's a mercenary. Deebo will play for Rob Guerrero tomorrow if Rob Guerrero will pay him $30 million. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's how he should treat his career. That's why he didn't take any of it personally. And he doesn't take it personally this year in the middle of a contract negotiation if people are disrespecting him, because he knows it doesn't matter. As long as someone's willing to cut the check, Deebo will go and play. For Brandon Aiyuk, those things are not the case. If that was the case, he would be in Pittsburgh now. He would be in Cleveland now. He would say, okay, 49ers, accept a trade of Kendrick Bourne and picks for me. See how your fans react to that. I'm going to go get $30 million for the New England Patriots. But that's not the case. Brandon Aiyuk feels like I did everything that was asked of me. I did what I saw Fred Warner do when Fred Warner got paid. I did what I saw Bosa do when Bosa got paid. I did what I saw Deebo did. And I did it for 2 years. Deebo only had 1 year of production, even if it was a better year of production than either of my 2 years. I did it for 2 years, and I'm not getting paid. And he's standing on that principle. He's going to have to stomach his pride, and I think the 49ers have just got him in a got you moment. I feel bad. It sucks to see a guy get eaten up by the corporation. I always cheer for the individual versus the corporation. I don't care who it is. I empathize with Brandon Aiyuk. But he's gotten eaten alive in these negotiations, Rob. And he should fire his agent, who's John Lynch's best friend. And I don't call for people's jobs. Usually it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. I'm not really calling for his job. But the PR in how this has been handled, from the TMZ interview he did with the timing of the pivot release, all of those things, it's been a mega fail. It's been a mega fail from a business standpoint for Brandon Aiyuk the last 4 months.
This is one thing I don't like, though, and it makes no sense to me. Mike Silver tweeted it out. If you're watching the stream, you can see it. Quote, if you're wondering what's going on about Aiyuk, this is part of the deal. Deebo showed up in great shape with a competitor's mindset and is having a monster camp. He is being the adult. I'm sorry. Did Mike Silver forget that Deebo Samuel...
Wait. Do you think that's Mike Silver's opinion? Or do you think that that's a moment of let's talk up Deebo Samuel amidst all of this 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk stuff going on?
That's my point. Yeah. Deebo Samuel did the same thing. He requested a trade. He wanted out of San Francisco to act like, oh, Deebo Samuel is this model player. And by the way, Deebo is only good every other year. Like, this whole puffing up of Deebo Samuel because he actually showed up in shape and is doing his damn job. I'm so sick of it, man. Thanks for being a professional, Deebo, and doing your actual job. And I will say this now, before anything happens. I'm on the record. Book the date and time. It's August 5th. And I don't care how many good games Deebo Samuel has during the year. And you can throw this quote back in my face. I'm saying it now. The 49ers should trade Deebo Samuel after this season, especially if he has a good year. That's when you trade somebody. You sell high. He has shown you who he is. He is unreliable to stay in shape. He is unreliable to stay healthy. Hell, he was hurt in 2 of the 3 playoff games the 49ers played. They should not, if they get rid of Brandon Aiyuk, which I think they're going to, they should not re-up with Deebo Samuel and stay in the Deebo business. No way, no how.
So what's interesting to me in all of this, and I don't know that I fully agree with you, but I can't necessarily argue with your points at the moment. Deebo hasn't built a reputation or a defense for him to be given longer than this year, given what his contract number is and the production and availability that he's currently providing. But I would say something that I fail to understand in all of this, Rob, is how they're actually going to replace Brandon Ayuk. Because I've been saying it from day one, and I like Ricky Pearsall. I'm not going to get into Ricky Pearsall's training camp reports on whether he's doing well or not. And here's why, Rob. And I said this again, my YouTube channel just came back yesterday at Vish Kumar, and I said this yesterday. Training camp more or less has turned into a content creator pissing contest. Everybody is trying to just confirmation bias, and it's more becoming about delivering reporting that's accurate with my line of opinion than necessarily giving us informative training camp reports. And that's why I feel like they're all just arguing with each other about what actually happened. And we're the real losers because we don't actually know what's happened in a training camp practice. My rant on that aside, coming to Ricky Pearsall, skill set wise, I think he's a flanker. I don't look at him as an X receiver, a split end. That's Brandon Ayuk's position in this offense. I look at him in Deebo Samuel's role. Who I compared him to last night, Rob, and I want to hear your take on this, is to me, he's Robert Woods, right? You hear the Rams Cooper Cup comparison. Just because they're both white guys, he's Robert Woods. He's the guy that moves around. He's a very good route runner. He plays off the ball. He blocks. He's tough as nails. But he's not the guy that you line up on the outside as the X receiver on top of the ball and you ask him to get pressed by Pat Surtain and win on the outside. And Deebo had the ability to be that guy at one point. Deebo is no longer that guy. The way I describe Deebo's route running now, Rob, and I'd love to hear your take on this, is I think Deebo used to have a suddenness and a quickness at the top of his routes to be able to separate, especially early in his career. I think that's totally lost. And I think the way Deebo tries to win is by winning with physicality and strength at the top of his routes. And the thing with Deebo is he's just not that big on the outside. Like for a guy like Trent McDuffie, like sure, Deebo is thick. He's 220 pounds, but he's not a big frame guy, right? Like Ayuk has a humongous frame for 200 pounds. So he's like a big guy on the outside to deal with. And I think because of those two things, I don't think they can adequately replace Brandon Ayuk. To me, Ricky Pearsall is a more passing version of this offense, a cheaper version's upgrade for Deebo Samuel.
I don't know what Ricky Pearsall is, okay? And I don't even want to speculate because I can't even tell if he's having a good camp or not because of all the reasons you just said. I'll find out what Ricky Pearsall is when I see Ricky Pearsall on the field in a regular season game. So I don't know. Here's what I do know. It has never felt like Brandon Aiyuk was one of the guys, one of the accepted clique with the 49ers. He was doghoused almost immediately because of reasons that we still don't know. And the Niners appear to have drawn a line in the sand. And they said, $26 million is what we're offering you. That's what we have seen reported. We're not going up. We don't care that the wide receiver market has gone up. This is our offer. Take it or leave it. And we haven't seen them draw a line in the sand like that for anybody else, except maybe DeForest Buckner. But to me, that was more Buckner drawing a line in the sand about the structure of his contract than anything else. But with
I would say, by the way, something to add to this, because I think this is an amazing point, and I think it should be continued and said, is Rob, the Shanahan aspect in all of this, right? Like usually when contracts get to this point, Kyle makes the call. He's not making the call for Brandon Aiyuk.
Right. And I think that speaks volumes, to be honest with you, right? Like Kyle was always, Trent Williams called Kyle Shanahan and said, I'm going to go to Kansas City unless you get this done. And the deal got done. Kyle
was confident about him and Deebo.
Right. What did he say? Oh, I'm not worried. I know my relationship with the player. No, that's not happening with Brandon Aiyuk. He's never, when everybody lined up to get behind Jimmy Garoppolo, Brandon Aiyuk didn't. Brandon Aiyuk stayed silent. He didn't disparage Jimmy Garoppolo in any way, but he didn't march to the beat of the drum. He didn't dance like everybody else danced.
Brandon Aiyuk also went into the doghouse after a preseason game versus the Chargers when he dropped a pass that turned into an interception on a third down, a preseason game that was quote unquote a quarterback battle at the time between Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. How do you think Garoppolo felt? Remember, in that game, Garoppolo was supposed to play, then Lance, then Garoppolo again. And Lance didn't do too hot, and then Lance ended up doing well with the second stringers, third stringers. But there was all of that going on then. And amidst all of that, Brandon Aiyuk was the one who made the mistake to make Jimmy look bad. And all of a sudden, he's in the doghouse. All of a sudden, Trent Sherfield is practicing better than Brandon Aiyuk.
He has never been one of the guys. Hell, look at the Super Bowl game plan. Deebo, the game plan was made for Deebo in the Super Bowl, not Brandon Aiyuk. And he kept drawing up plays for Deebo throughout the game. Now, I will say the play that he drew up on 3rd down and 5 at the end of regulation was for Brandon Aiyuk, and Brock Purdy said as much. And Brandon Aiyuk was wide ass open on that play. So yay.
Wait, what? The rollout? It was to Juwan Jennings.
No, the 3rd and 5 at the end, or 3rd down at the end of regulation, right after the 2-minute warning.
Oh, got it. When they didn't. Well, that was Brock Purdy didn't throw it to him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot about that play, man. The highly debated blitz 0 play. I still blame Kittle for it.
Do you remember when Brandon Aiyuk had the best game of his career, and afterwards Kyle Shanahan was like, "Yeah, I didn't think it was that good. I thought there were a lot of things he could have done better." For whatever reason, BA has not been accepted. He not like the other guys. And I think that for whatever reason, things have soured. And I think that Kyle thinks he can. I think it's like the machines in the Matrix, right? What do they say? Well, there are levels of survival that we're prepared to accept if we don't use humanity as batteries. I think there are levels of this offense that Kyle Shanahan is prepared to accept if Brandon Aiyuk isn't there. I really think that's what it comes down to for him. And I think that before the end of the week, he's going to be traded. Kyle Shanahan speaks tomorrow. That's going to be a hell of a press conference. You know, there's a lot of 49ers people on Twitter, 49ers beat writers, just over the moon.
They would really trade him, though, for like Kendrick Bourne and picks?
No, Kendrick Bourne.
Before the season? That's what I'm saying, though. What are they going to trade him for? Unless they're getting Amari Cooper in return.
Yeah, Amari Cooper. Good.
They're not doing anything that's going to make them come and shake their heads to the fans and be like, yeah, guys, I know we keep telling you how this is kind of our last chance with this team and all of that, but.
So this all started with a tweet from somebody, Cam Marino, I think his name is. And I did a video on it reacting to the rumor because he said that the deal was agreed to. And NFL Network came out about 40 minutes after that, Tom Pelissero started dunking on people online who talking about a deal getting done. And then Matt Barrows quote tweets it and says, "I like this segment for 2 reasons. My video skills are highlighted. And number 2, Tom's takedown of aggregators." A lot of 49ers Pete loves to get mad and get prickly and get their feathers ruffled.
I'm still waiting for Matt Barrows to have a scoop. No, I'm kidding. Why would I take that shot at him?
No,
I'm waiting for his scoop on Brandon Aiyuk.
Matt Barrows is the same guy that said, "Oh, we don't break any news because NFL Network gets fed every story." Well, where are you now? What's going on with Brandon Aiyuk, Matt Barrows? Where are you? Where are you? I guarantee you when the trade happens, 49ers beat won't break it. But they're going to sit there and try and dunk on people that are at least attempting to. Are they right? Are they wrong? I don't know. But at least they're attempting.
Well, I'm also not the biggest fan, Rob, of people who break wrong news either. I think that it's awfully frustrating. Now, I don't think it's necessarily always the fault of the person delivering it. I think it's the social media machine and how some of these things just get put out and like the way you see them can oftentimes, dictate how upset you are at seeing it. But I'm with Barrows there. I'm not a big fan of the aggregating machine, too. Like, I'm still anti what went on with the 49ers pre-draft. Like, the way the people were attacking all the reporters about Mac Jones, who ended up being right and all of that. Like, I do think when it comes to 49ers news, especially, the guys that usually have it down are like the Adam Schefters, the Mike Silvers, guys that have long-standing relationships with the Shanahans and work for the largest of networks, right? I don't think it's guys that are under the radar that are breaking news on the team ever. It's not even the beat, like you said.
So this is the original post from Cam Marino, who, according to his bio, is a national NFL analyst, lead draft writer for NFLDraftBuzz.com, and he used to work at USA Today. So first of all, I don't know, I wouldn't call this person an aggregator.
No.
Maybe they have sources. Maybe they don't. He's taking a shot. Now, we'll find out if Aiyuk ultimately goes to Pittsburgh. But here's the thing. Let's say 3 hours from now, Aiyuk gets traded to Pittsburgh. All those NFL insiders would be like, oh, now it's official. But it's like, this dude was right if it happens. If it happens, when he gets traded.
But he might not have actually been right, though, right? Like, Aiyuk could end up going to Pittsburgh, and at whatever hour that he tweeted it, it might have been that Aiyuk wasn't going to Pittsburgh. Like, I don't think that that's fair to say that because he ends up being eventually right, therefore that he was always right. I don't think that it's the case with a lot of these situations. I think it's often very fluid.
Like,
we don't. I don't think it's fair. That's why I took the shot right back at Matt Barrows by saying, what news do you break? So I think his shot is unfair, but at the same time, I don't necessarily look at this guy and think, oh, yes, he's 100% breaking news too. I understand Barrows' point. I'm skeptical as well.
I don't know if this guy's breaking news, but all he said was that the Steelers and the 49ers have agreed to a trade. Maybe they did. Maybe at that moment they did agree to a trade, and then Aiyuk was trying to work out a contract with the Steelers. Like, we don't know, but the 49ers they just love to poke at other people when they don't do anything. They can't even accurately tell us. We can't even accurately depend on them to tell us who's good and who's bad at training camp. So I don't want to hear crap from the 49ers beat dunking on people. Like, what value are you to me, 49ers beat writers, when I can't even trust who's good and who's bad at training camp? We need Steph Sanchez out there to tell us what she's seeing, because I don't know what the hell. David Lombardi's tweets are useless. Half of Grant's information is useless. Mayoko doesn't put anything out there the 49ers don't want out there. I mean, what? Yet they're the ones that are poking fingers.
Garofolo was golfing and he broke the Aiyuk trade request story. Hey, Garofolo was on hole number 6 and somebody was like, hey, Mike, there's some guys working right now, but I know it's your day off while you're golfing, but here's the story on Brandon Aiyuk requesting a trade. No, I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious, actually. Like, what other industry does that happen? And I need to be maybe educated. I don't want to be just taking a shot. Maybe I need to be educated. But what other industry does a guy far away at a golf course break the news about a trade request and the guys at the facility covering training camp can't do that? How does that work?
Oh, it's because they get fed everything. I mean, God, how many people are leaking stuff from the 49ers right now? Every other day, there's a new report. Like, it's intolerable. But Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, do you think he's going to stay with the 49ers, right? You think he's going to be off the team as of right now?
No, I think Brandon Aiyuk is going to stay, I said. I said, I think the 49ers are just calling Brandon Aiyuk's bluff like that. They know he doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh or Cleveland, and I don't think the 49ers are dumb enough before a big season to be like, hey, here's Brandon Aiyuk, star receiver who we have under contract, but instead we would rather have Kendrick Bourne and a couple of picks. I think worst case scenario, they make Brandon Aiyuk play out his 5th-year option.
I love this tweet from Sid, who says, Adam Schefter, Pretty Ricky, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, # Brandon Aiyuk, and has the gif from The Office where they're all pretending to have guns and pointing them at each other in the conference room. That is
what if that's the 49ers right now? Like, you've got Jed calling Ian Rappaport. You've got John Lynch calling Adam Schefter. You've got Kyle calling Pretty Ricky. No, I'm kidding. But what if that's the 49ers? What if they're like, one guy is saying pay Brandon, one guy is saying don't pay Brandon, one guy is saying Is that not possible? I know that, like, when we view these things, like, we view it from the lens that the media didn't know anything and the 49ers always knew they were going to take Trey Lance and Mac Jones was never a part of the conversation. And then we get information. We're like, oh, the 49ers actually didn't really know what they were doing when they did any of that, right? Like, they're human beings. They're an organization making decisions fluidly as things are going. I guess within that, similarly, what if they're also having internal debates about what to do with Brandon Aiyuk?
You shouldn't be. The time for those debates is well past. You got to have those debates before the new league year even opens. What the hell were you waiting for? You can't be having those debates now in August with training camp underway and the preseason game coming up on Saturday. Like, what were you doing all this time?
They were doing Christian McCaffrey's deal, and then they went to his wedding, and they had to shave their mustaches. And now Kyle Juszczyk is talking about like how Brock Purdy will check all of them if they ask for the ball. And I'm thinking in my head, when the hell is Kyle Juszczyk going to ask for the ball? Nobody's worried about that. In fact, we all want him to get more touches. So it's not like he's getting that many touches to begin with. So we're not too worried about his ego in all of this. But it seems like he's been really upset this offseason with how the 49ers treated him. And he's on a personal campaign to make sure everybody knows Kyle Juszczyk's the best, which I'm sure Greg Olsen, his pal from the wedding, is going to remind us a ton of this year.
Mike Silver was only too happy to write this glowing article. Every time Mike Silver mentions Kyle Juszczyk in an article, he's got to mention how he took a pay cut. Great. Kyle Juszczyk took a pay cut. He's still the highest paid fullback. He was off the field more than he was on the field last year. Kyle Juszczyk is no hero. Like, my God, man. The agendas with the 49ers beat are out of control. It's stunning to me. I did want to talk to you about that article, though, Vish. I know you got to go in about 10 minutes, but what did you make of that article with Brock Purdy telling Mike Silver he was yelling at Deebo Samuel as he was throwing a pass because Deebo was running the wrong route?
I didn't really make much of it. I didn't know why it was a story for Mike Silver. I'm not going to lie. It felt a very odd thing for Brock to narrate. And I don't know that it was contextualized in a way that made us understand what got to Brock in a conversation where he's like, yeah, man, I was throwing this ball to Deebo and he was running the wrong route and I yelled at him. I don't really know what got him to there in the conversation, but I didn't think much of it. I think that's normal interaction between a quarterback and wide receiver. And I wouldn't be shocked if Deebo is a guy that gets yelled at a lot because he seems pretty unflappable. And I wonder if, hey, you just yell at him and he just takes it, he accepts it, and he moves on.
So Andrew Filipponi, who covers the Pittsburgh sports,
a lot of followers.
93.7 The Fan, just tweeted about 10 minutes ago. Source familiar with the Niners-Steelers Aiyuk trade negotiations. Quote, it's at the goal line. Again?
That sucks for Brandon Aiyuk, man. It's
a
terrible place to go.
I mean, first of all, it is a terrible place to go. Arthur Smith had a ton of great skill players in Atlanta and managed to do absolutely nothing with them. Now he's going to have Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, who hold the ball for 50,000 million hours and who suck. You know what? Enjoy it, BA. Enjoy it. The grass ain't always greener, but if it gets you paid, I totally support you going because I want everybody to get paid all the time. But this is the choice you have to make as an NFL player, and it kind of sucks.
I'm not going to lie. I don't get this for the 49ers. Did they know Brandon Aiyuk wasn't going to show up this year? Because to me, the worst case scenario, unless they're getting Deontay Johnson back in this trade, the worst case scenario with Brandon Aiyuk was let him play this year out. Like, what are they gaining this year? How are they better with Tim Patrick? Is that who they're going to sign?
Deontay Johnson's on the Panthers.
Oh, right. I totally forgot about
Valerie
that.
says right. BA is going to need that extra money to take vacation.
Deontay Johnson got traded earlier this offseason to the Panthers too, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that move. Great call. Great move by Carolina. Good play.
People have talked about online, and this isn't anybody. These are just people have speculated about a guard, an offensive lineman for the Steelers, Mike Daniels, I think, and like a 4th round wide receiver coming back to the 49ers. I mean, you're right. How the Niners sell.
That's a nice player. That's not how you sell going into a season where you're coming off losing the Super Bowl. It's not how you necessarily instill confidence. And they don't even have time to get people warmed up to it. That's what I'm so confused about. If you were going to trade Brandon Aiyuk in May, for Christ's sakes. Draft somebody. Let people get comfortable with the idea that Brandon Aiyuk is not going to be here. This is... I'm gonna, until this deal goes down, and it sounds like it's about to go down, but I don't know with this one. I'm still gonna say I don't get it. I don't expect them to trade him. There's not a deal unless they're bringing back Amari Cooper. There's not a deal that they're gonna be able to convince the fans of is like a deal that makes them better now.
Yeah, and I thought a line from Matt Mayoko in his interview with KMBR was really interesting. Mayoko basically said that the 49ers didn't see it happening this way. That basically they didn't anticipate it playing out. They thought it was going to play out a certain way. They didn't think it would go this way. And so now, like, he didn't say this. I'm speculating here based on the quote, but they're kind of scrambling because didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And so now they're trying to figure out what to do.
Who's scrambling, though? The 49ers didn't expect this to go this way?
Here's the quote. I would simply not be surprised if a trade were to happen. Things have not gone as the 49ers expected them to. There are teams willing to pay him what he wants. The question is where it kind of falls on the 49ers. They have to toe this line. They can't be giving away one of their best players, one of their top 4 playmakers, and not be getting anything in return that helps them this season. First of all, Aiyuk's reps were given permission to find a deal before the draft. Now, maybe the 49ers were just so staunchly refusing to trade him that they didn't do anything about that or look into those deals or investigate that. I don't know. But this whole Brandon Aiyuk going out of the market and finding a deal, like that's not a new thing. That didn't that already happen before the draft?
Yeah. Again, I don't feel like Pearsall. I saw the guys who said Brandon Aiyuk is not an X receiver. That's not the case. Brandon Aiyuk is the X receiver in the 49ers offense. He can line up in all 3 spots, but he lines up as the X receiver. There's a reason you don't see Brandon Aiyuk going in motion at all. Brandon Aiyuk is very stagnant in most formations because he's the X receiver usually in the 49ers offense. That's the case. He also said that they would trade Brandon Aiyuk because Brandon Aiyuk, quote unquote, drops a lot of passes. So clearly, I don't agree with that opinion. I don't understand trading Brandon Aiyuk. James Daniel is a nice player, guard from Iowa, if I remember correctly.
Sorry, I said
and
Mike.
A second round pick is not bad. But again,
you should have got that before the draft in 2024.
That's exactly where I was about to go. And you could have done this and sold it a lot better. I don't understand James Daniels and a second round pick next year for a team that wants to be good now.
And also a second round pick for the Steelers. You know they're going to be like 9-8, regardless of who's on the roster. So it's not even going to be like a top of the second round pick.
Can we acknowledge something though here? This is like the 6th or 7th time in this era that people have just pretended that, and I'm not even saying things go good or bad. I'm just talking about what's happened, okay? People have just pretended that the 49ers are in complete control and they know exactly what's going on from start to finish in these situations. And we come to find that oftentimes a lot of this stuff is them reacting the same way we react as well, right? Like we find out, the entire trading up and going and getting a quarterback, all of that, it wasn't some master plan. No. It was literally finding out and figuring things out as they were going. And they tend to do that a lot. And I feel like this is another situation where they pushed it out and they're finding themselves in a situation where it seems like they are also scrambling. Because like I said, I just do not understand a trade for Brandon Aiyuk right now. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. James Daniels in a second round pick, that's what you're going to trade. You want to trade Brandon Aiyuk now for that?
Right. It would be a massive misplay. It would be a massive error by the 49ers front office.
I don't understand why they wouldn't just keep him, because I still feel like keeping him, franchising him, trading him is better than James Daniels and a second round pick. Like, what has happened in this relationship, let alone the fact that they were dapping each other up 2 or 3 days ago? Like, what the hell is this?
And you don't need to do this now before the season starts. If I were the 49ers, I would say, hey, we'd love for you to sign that offer. We'll leave it on the table for you. We're not trading you. So you're coming in. If you want to play, play. If you don't want to play, that's your prerogative. You sit out and we'll find the bejesus out of you. And we'll see if Brandon stays away. And we'll see if he does and if he doesn't. And you know what? If he stays away, you can always trade for that second round pick halfway through the year before the deadline anyway. I would not trade Aiyuk right now.
You know what? And the guy still hasn't gotten his generational money. It's cruel, but they have that leverage against him. That's why I've been under this. I don't think he's going to get traded, because I think at the end of the day, him on his 5th-year option with where we're now, to me, is a lot better than James Daniels in a second-round pick. Because I'll take James Daniels in a second-round pick next year. Come go around again. Or I'll sign James Daniels equivalent in free agency. It's not like James Daniels is this premium player that you can't find anywhere else that you're trading Brandon Aiyuk for. And that second round pick is probably going to be a better pick, a higher value pick when you actually know what the number is versus trading for a future. So from the 49ers standpoint, I'm totally baffled. I'm totally baffled. I understand not wanting to pay Brandon Aiyuk a certain amount of money. I don't understand sending him to Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, I think that trading him now makes no sense. I hold on to him. If he wants to stay, make him stay away. Like, he's still showing up for meetings, which is, again, what 49ers coaches were saying today, how great it was to have him in the meetings and how engaged he was in the meetings. If I'm the 49ers, I don't do anything right now. I say, great, Pittsburgh, there's the deal. You want to pay him? Great. I'll keep that in mind. I'll see you in a month.
100%. Because unless they're getting Amari Cooper, right? Cleveland's giving him Amari Cooper and picks.
Yes.
Well, see you, Brandon Aiyuk, because Amari Cooper can do essentially what you do. He's cheaper. He can be good enough in this offense. We don't need that, right? That's a deal you would do yesterday. That's not James Daniels in a second-round pick. James Daniels in a second-round pick will be available if Brandon Aiyuk gets franchised next year.
I agree. I don't do anything if I'm the 49ers, but I don't think they're going to operate that way, but I would say we're not trading him. If I were Kyle tomorrow and I went to media, I'd be like, look, we're tired of this. This team is about more than Brandon Aiyuk. We're supposed to be winning a Super Bowl. We all need to be pulling in the same direction. We'd love to have Brandon Aiyuk here. We think he's a valuable member of this team. We've extended an offer to Brandon. If he wants to take it, great. If he doesn't want to take it, great. We're moving forward.
I agree. He should be done with it. He should say, I'm done fielding questions about it. That's where we are. Brandon Aiyuk is still contractually a 49ers football player. We want to have him as a part of this football team. Whether he comes is his decision from now, but he is still a member of the San Francisco 49ers. Again, if I don't have an issue with trading Brandon Aiyuk, right? Like, if Amari Cooper's on the table, right? Make the deal. Devontae Adams is on the table. I would trade Brandon Aiyuk immediately. And that's even with the age. Devontae Adams is even now better than maybe anything Brandon Aiyuk will ever be, right? It's that type of situation. So you go get Devontae Adams. But James Daniels in a second-round pick seems a way like I want to spite Brandon Aiyuk in August because I want to make sure he goes to a place he doesn't end up. And I don't really care what I get back for him because James Daniels in a second-round pick does not make you better than having Brandon Aiyuk this year. And you can get James Daniels in a second-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk next offseason after you franchise him.
I agree with everything you said. I absolutely think and I think Kyle should say, hold all calls. Stop calling about Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not going to field questions. We're done. We're moving on and just go Belichick every time. We're on to 2024. That's it. We're done. And they should tell everybody on the team to say the exact same thing. Hey, there's nothing we can do about Brandon Aiyuk. We want him here. We love him, but the season's starting. The first preseason game is on Saturday. Like, the NFL is not going to stop and wait for Brandon Aiyuk's situation to resolve itself. And the 49ers, I think it's in their best interest.
Brandon Aiyuk can't stop for Brandon Aiyuk's situation to resolve itself. At the end of the day, Brandon Aiyuk unfortunately needs his generational money that he has earned, in my opinion. And if he has to do it the hard way and earn it another season, that's the unfortunate way. He will realize he has to do that as well. And I hate saying that, because I feel like Brandon Aiyuk deserves to get paid. But if this is where the situation has come to, I would try and resolve it rather than... What do you think is so unresolvable between them? They were so confident that Deebo, who was doing this and all of that, it was resolvable. But Brandon Aiyuk, who's dapping them up 2 days ago, and we think the extension is going to be done because of that. Colin Cowherd is tweeting the extension is going to be done. And they cannot resolve this relationship. They want James Daniels in a second-round pick instead. Am I missing out? Is James Daniels, did he turn into Steve Hutchinson and I didn't know about this?
And he's a free agent after the year.
I know. I'm so confused. So confused.
The whole thing is freaking wild, man. It's crazy because part of me wants the Niners to just lock it down, but the other part of me thinks he's going to be traded tonight. So, like, I don't want to end the stream, because I don't want to have to fire up a third live show today once he actually gets moved. But it's crazy.
How would they sell that? Like, who are they going to... James Daniels in a second-round pick? Kendrick Bourne in a second-round pick?
They wouldn't be able to sell it. They would not be able to sell it because there's no good explanation for it. But maybe they could sell it as, hey, we really thought we were going to get it done. But they can't sell it as, well, the Steelers made us an offer that we just couldn't refuse, right? That's not an offer you can't refuse. That's easily refusable.
And I totally understand that, right? Like we talked about it. Amari Cooper, if he wants to go to Washington, if Terry McLaurin is coming back, like, okay, do these deals for Brandon Aiyuk. But at this point, especially when you have him under contract, James Daniels in a second round pick feels like you're saying something about the relationship is at a point where you feel like you can amend it. And I go back to, how did you feel like you could amend those relationships with Bosa, whatever? And you've already amended it once with Brandon Aiyuk, right? Or maybe
True.
you never did. Who knows?
It's crazy, man. The whole thing is absolutely crazy. But we're here and we'll see what the 49ers do. I generally don't like the way the 49ers handle. What I end up doing is criticizing them in the offseason because I feel like they don't know what the hell they're doing a lot of times. And then when they actually play football, I praise the hell out of them because they're really good at football.
I'm usually pretty status quo. I don't get as mad about some of the offseason things as others, right? Like, I don't mind them taking contracts deep into July and all of that. I'm usually pretty supportive of it. I think they win a lot of their deals in small ways that have proven to be beneficial in terms of their long-term roster building, right? The number of bad contracts they've signed that they've gotten out of because they've signed them a certain type of way is truly remarkable. I mean, think about how many free agent flops they've had with large contracts. And I can list them from Jerick McKinnon to Quan Alexander, Jimmy Garoppolo, so many different ones, right? And they've been able to get out of all those contracts. So I support them from that standpoint. But this one, I don't see the logic in. Like, if James Daniels and second round pick is what's on the table, I don't see what about the Brandon Aiyuk situation is like, God, I got to go get that deal. Like, I just need that deal. Like, I don't want to do this with Brandon Aiyuk anymore. Like, I don't think that the situation can be so untenable when they're dapping each other up 2 days ago that you just have to accept James Daniels in a second round pick. God.
Yeah, if Pittsburgh might want to do that deal, but there's no reason the 49ers should want to do that deal. We'll see. We'll be here. Before we go, I just want to give a shout out to everybody. Thank you so much. We cracked the 12,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. That is incredible to me. We've only really existed for one season of 49ers football. So shout out to everybody, all the subscribers. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, please give us a shot. I promise you we will earn your time. We're here every single day for you. Once the actual regular season starts, we literally have shows every single day on the channel. I'm blown away by the support, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I literally could not do this without you. You are putting food on my table, and I will never, ever, ever take that for granted. I promise you.
That's awesome, Rob. Congratulations. Very happy for you. Happy to have been doing this with you since the start of the network. And I can't wait to do more shows. And final takes. You think Aiyuk gets moved, right?
I think Aiyuk is not going to be a 49er this season. I think he gets traded before the season starts.
All right, I'm going to stick by it. I think he stays. They're going to have to blow me away with this one. I don't believe that they're stupid. And I think that accepting a James Daniels in second round pick would be stupid.
I totally see the logic in your point. Shout out to the 1,400 plus people that are watching, by the way. Really appreciate that. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't. Give us a shot. You can always unsubscribe if you think we suck, but give us a shot. I promise you, we will earn it.
Or just give the other shows a chance. Like, you might want to unsubscribe after today, but shoot, go listen to Steph and Jason tomorrow. They might change your mind.
True.
I mean, you have to listen to Rob, but with Levin, who knows? Like, Levin can really change your mind. Michelle can really change your mind. Grant can really change your mind. So, yeah, you got to deal with Rob. You got to deal with me. But there's another few options out there. No offense, Rob. I had to throw you in.
Plenty of different hosts on the network. Last question, Vish. Do you have shoes on your feet right now?
No.
Do you ever have
in my house?
Oh, no. You're one of those people?
Dude, I wear my shoes outside. Why the hell would I want them in my house?
Because you're not a child and you don't need to take off your shoes because you come inside? What is all these people taking off their shoes because they come inside the house?
People who don't want the germs of outside being in their house.
Again, where do you think I'm walking? I'm not walking through piles of manure. Like I'm walking on the sidewalk. What are we talking about here?
Oh my gosh, is this a conversation? Like, was this a thing?
Oh, it
Like,
was. It started with
no, I never wear my shoes inside. Are you kidding me?
the Lions because they were asking their players as they came off the field, and all the players said no shoes on in the house. So I started asking co-hosts on the network, and people are like, "Oh, you can't wear shoes in the house," and I'm just stunned. I never take my shoes off ever except to sleep. That's it.
I'm
Sleep and
stunned
shower.
that you take your shoes off at all to sleep. At that point, what's the point of keeping them on or taking them off at all?
I'm more comfortable with shoes on. If I take my shoes off, my feet will get cold. Like,
No way you're more comfortable with shoes on.
yeah, I
The
get
best thing when
too.
you come home from a long day of work is literally taking your shoes off and letting your feet.
That sounds like a shoe problem. That's really what that is. You got to get some Allbirds or some New Balance like I have.
I just rip steps, man. I rip steps. I'm a 20K every day type of guy. I'm also, by the way, Rob, shout out to our I gotta put this out there for our loyal listeners. I'm training for a marathon that's coming up in October. So if
Ooh.
anybody's got advice for me, that's also going on. Yeah. And why am I in the office all day, Kenny? Unfortunately, my corporation expects me to be there, providing shareholder value, which I hope I'm doing.
And you have to have shoes on in the office, right?
Oh, for sure. Rob.
And you're not walking in a germ-infested environment. You mean you somehow?
Yeah, but I don't want anything from the office. Whatever I pick up, whatever particles I accumulate on my shoes from the office, I don't want that coming into my house.
Do you change your clothes immediately when you get home?
Hell yeah! I immediately put those clothes to wash. Yeah,
It's full outfit change.
duh.
What the hell? Your laundry must be insane. That is.
It's just when I run out of underwear, bro.
How do people live? I swear to God, you guys are on a different planet than me. Anyway,
Oh,
all right.
Papa J, tell him you go to public restrooms with
your shoes on, yeah. And I don't lick the floor when I get home. I wash my floors regularly. Like, again, what people think like, oh, you walk around and then all those germs get on your floor. If I don't touch those germs with my face or hands, I'm good. And I clean my floors. And just maybe it's me. It is me, clearly, because everybody just.
I think it's just you, man. This is crazy to me. These things are just crazy to me. Like I thought it was normal when people come home, they immediately change their clothes. Is that just not I thought that was a pretty normal thing.
Your entire outfit? No, that's not. To me, that's crazy. I don't know. I don't want to say normal because, again, my experience doesn't necessarily translate to universal, but no.
Yeah, there we go. Brisbee Life brings up another point. I take public transit too sometimes. That's another reason I want to get the clothes right off. Then bus seats. Dude,
Yeah.
Sheldon Cooper, I'm not even going to lie. I was telling somebody at work this exact thing. He had it right with the bus pants. Like, I feel icky when I got to ride the red line. Ugh.
Yeah, a lot of public transit, I could see you wanting to change your clothes. That's fair. Like, people are like, oh, Rob, where do you walk? Where do you walk? I walk from my house to my car. I drop my kid off at school without getting out of the car. And then I come back home and I'm in the house.
I don't even want to know what's on the floor of your car. You have 2 young kids. I know that the floor of your car has this crumb that's been stepped on, this dead goldfish that's been turned into a bunch of crumbs, all of those types of things.
Yeah, that's all there.
Yeah, it's a germ-infested place. You don't want those things coming right back inside.
Stovey 4x4ing says, wait, wearing clothes inside?
Hey, relax.
There are levels to this, apparently.
Relax. I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
Okay, Stephen Duckett, this is different. He says, I'm not wearing my scrubs that I worked in with sick people around me all day. That's different. That is clearly.
First, thank you, Stephen.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, most of us are not doing that. We're not in an environment around sick people directly. That I absolutely would change. That I'm with you there. So anyway, well, Vish,
what if you walk on some grass? Like, what happens if you actually walk on mud or something that is definitely dirty?
I wipe my feet before I get in the house, and then I continue living my life. Like, what do you mean? What happens? Nothing happens.
You wipe your feet?
Yeah, I have a mat in front of me.
Okay, so you do take your shoes off in that case.
No, I wipe my feet, on the mat where you rub your feet, and then you walk in the house.
I think it's time for the show to end, dude. You're grossing me out.
All right. Well, you're welcome at the Guerrera house anytime, Vish. And you're
I think that there might be things growing in the Guerrera house that I don't want to know about.
oh God, maybe, who knows? I do clean the floors. I'll just say that. Anyway, thank you, Vish.
Dude, I hope you're taking Pine Sol to those floors every couple of days, Rob. I'm gonna keep you honest. From now on, every Monday, I'm asking you if you've got a good Pine Sol, good scrubbing. Get a Swiffer.
It smells like nothing but freshness in the Guerrera house. I will say that. Again, rate, review, follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network, like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, like and subscribe to Vish's channel as well. Just search Vish Kumaran, Kumaran. It pops right up. I promise you, you will be a better, smarter fan. Go Niners! Figure out what the hell to do with Brandon Aiyuk, but whatever you do it fast.